The top stories: Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed calls for reform of global financial institutions. And high-level forum on equitable and reasonable utilization of transboundary water resources kicks off in Addis Ababa. Greetings, TV viewers, ladies and gentlemen. This is ETV News with me, Shifara Olakam. Thanks a lot for joining us. Now, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, along with his delegation, is participating in a summit of the new Global Financing Pact. On the initiative of President Emmanuel Macron, France is hosting more than 300 high-level participants, heads of state and government, international organizations and representatives of civil society and the private sector organizations. The aim of the summit is to lay the groundwork for a renewed financial system suited to the common challenges of the 21st century, such as fighting inequalities and climate change and protecting biodiversity. Prime Minister Abiy has participated on a round table entitled Evolving the Model of Multilateral Development Banks to address the 21st century challenges at the Summit for a New Global Financing Pact in Paris. Have a listen to this.
The developing world, particularly African countries, are facing a cocktail interconnected crises. Financial crisis, climate crisis, a debt crisis, also a cost living crisis, in most places, instability.
When the Prime Minister explained to the forum about how the challenges in developing countries are different from other parts of the world, he mainly raised the magnitude of the problems. Have a listen to this.
What makes it unique in Africa is the magnitude of the crisis, as well as the interconnectivity of the crisis. As an instance, inflation, almost in all commodities, has risen sharply in many countries. Today, daily meal for many Africans are biggest issue. Private and public debt has reached new heights. Today, in most low-income countries, the headaches of government is not to think about development, but to think about how we can manage debt.
The Prime Minister has also reiterated the need for sufficient financial capacity to solve the deep-rooted, multifaceted problems in Africa and emphasized that global financial institutions must be reformed for this to work.
Our goal should be to safeguard macro stability, to support low-income countries, also to sustain future prosperity. So as to address this challenge, we need a robust and predictable financial safety net. Without resource, there is no way that we can address this challenge. If we use as entry point financial resources, MDBs must be at the center of this game. They are the main player of this game. So if they are going to play great role on addressing this challenge, I think we should make reform on these financial institutions.
Addis Ababa hosts the second Africa-run high-level forum on equitable and reasonable utilization of the continent's transboundary water resources, themed equitable and reasonable utilization of transboundary water courses, a key to Africa's prosperity. Ethiopia's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Demeke Mekonnen, opening the two-day-long session, said the purpose of the meeting is to find solutions to the issues that rivers confront due to human and environmental factors. Kasaun Chane reports.
Greater portions of Africa are contained with transboundary basins. Transboundary watercourses are essential for socio-economic transformation, particularly for food and energy security on a continent that faces a number of development challenges. Despite their fragility, these resources and the systems they support exist. One significant issue in the insecurity of water caused by climate change, which could endanger development. These issues also call for cooperation among Riparian nations. Following this, Addis Ababa hosts a second Afri-run high-level forum on equitable and reasonable utilization of the continent's transboundary water resources, coupled with the theme equitable and reasonable utilization of transboundary watercourses, Africa's resources for Africa's prosperity and the new era. On the occasion, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs Demega Makonnen stated that nationalizing and maintaining such platforms is a crucial way for the Nile families to work together to ensure fair utilization of the shared river for the prosperity of the region. He remarked that the Nile is one of the largest rivers. Cooperation between the riparian countries should be strengthened in order to solve concerns.
Our aim is to uphold the fair use of transboundary water course and bring the Nile family together. Excellencies, it has been stated repeatedly that the Nile River basin continues to suffer from natural and man-made challenges. Climate change, population growth, and unsustainable use are only few of the natural challenges that need our coordinated and cooperative effort.
Denmark, the Thorden's Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Affairs, stated that his nation adheres to the principle of equitable and reasonable utilization of transboundary water courses, which states that countries in the Nile Basin should use the Nile to spur economic growth and address issues.
It is our view that water courses are an invaluable endowment to the people of the Nile Basin, and that their utilization should be sustainable to improve the livelihood of the people. Needless to say, improvement of livelihood essentially entails involving policies and investing in technologies that will enhance our capacity to feed our people and eradicate poverty.
Following the same line of reasoning, Jeje Odongo, Uganda's Minister of Foreign Affairs, remarked that it is crucial to understand that the nations of the Nile Basin should safeguard their natural resources based on fair and prudent water resource management.
Africa is made up of several transboundary resources, including water, minerals, land, and human resources. Agriculture contributes 17% to Africa's GDP. 65% of all uncultivated arable land left in the world lies in Africa. But yet, Africa is a net food importer, spending at least $43 billion annually.
The ministers of foreign affairs from riparian countries praised Ethiopia's government for its unwavering commitment to the prosperity of the continent and its efforts to ensure fair and equitable use of transboundary watercourses. They also noted the importance of the conference as a forum for experts and policymakers to discuss the enormous advantages of fair and equitable use of the shared water resource in the region.
Tanzania firmly believes that today, expediting the ratification of the Nile River Basin Cooperation Framework Agreement is the gateway to establish the desired permanent and stable institutional framework towards attaining our shared vision and objective of ensuring sustainable development and equitable utilization of the common water resources on the Nile River.
On the conclusion of the discussions, it is anticipated the participating foreign ministers from the IPU nations will travel to see how the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam GERD construction is coming along.
ሬንጀርሶች ትልቅ የሥራ ኃላፊነት በዚህ መስክ ውስጥ ካሉት አካላት ትልቅ የሥራ ኃላፊነት ከተሰጣቸው መካከል አንዱ ናቸው።
በኢፌድሪ ደንና አካባቢን አየር ንብረት ለውጥ ኮሚሽን ኮሚሽነር ፕሮፌሰር ፍቃዱ በየነ ህብረት ስራ ብረት አታ እና
Welcome back. Now, two French institutions expressed their commitment to working in partnership with the Ethiopian Broadcasting Corporation, EBC, to digitize the media house. The French ambassador to Ethiopia and the CEO of EBC have indicated the significance of digitizing the archives of EBC for the benefits of Ethiopia and Africa. Shagar Mataw has more on that.
The Ethiopian Broadcasting Corporation is the oldest media house in Ethiopia, which runs 5 TV stations, 3 radio stations and cyber media. Since its establishment, the corporation stored many audio-visual recordings in different ways.
Different social, economic and political events of the country have been recorded in our archive. We have also archives since the establishment of OAU, and every year submits of the OAU materials used for recording archives since the beginning of EBC are 16mm film, Umatic tapes, VHS and others.
The archives are both radio, like audio and video archives. It is more than 17,000 hours of archive, both radio and television archives. The content is not only Ethiopian, but it's also Pan-African. But the problem is it's at risk of deterioration because of age. There were attempts to digitize this content, but it has repeatedly failed because of the first being lack of machine to play the contents. There are contents in pneumatic tapes, phonograph recorders, reel-to-reel, and VHS, XCD cams. So the variety of the content, and through the age, these playing machines have been outdated. So it is really a problem.
CEO of Ethiopian Broadcasting Corporation, Fisai Tagasu, said the reforms EBC has been undertaking in human resource and technology needs to be repeated in digitizing the content of EBC archive to make it accessible.
The reforms that we introduced in terms of human resource technology and studios need to be repeated in terms of content, right? So the century-old archive, the only archive in Ethiopia and probably in Africa is in this media house. So digitizing this content, preserving the content, and making it accessible is very important to consolidate, to rephrase the changes that we have introduced.
During the Ethiopian Media Support Program launched today, French Ambassador to Ethiopia, Remy Marech, indicated that France is committed to work with EBC to safeguard the process of digitizing the archives of EBC.
We work together with EBC to support the process of safeguarding and digitalizing the archive of EBC, so the oldest broadcasting channel of the continent, and to strengthen its technical expertise. I have to insist here on the level of French technological excellence that INA represents. With its expertise in audiovisual heritage and training in audiovisual and digital media professions, INA is a French operator with renowned background in the media sector.
France's National Audiovisual Institute Affairs said, for her part, digitizing the old footage will be helpful for researchers and academics.
We have also another mission, which is the audiovisual legal deposit, meaning that we are recording and we are archiving every day, every year, all the content which are broadcasted on the French territory. So it's a lot of content, TV, radio, and all this content we are making them available for researchers, for academics, as it is a very important resources for research.
During the Ethiopian Media Support Program by France, Canal France Institute also agreed to fight the spread of fake news and hate speech in the Ethiopian Media House.
Ethiopian and Chinese Foreign Affairs Institutes signed a memorandum of understanding that enables them to work together in areas of publication and documentation, among others. The memorandum was signed between the Executive Director of the Institute of Foreign Affairs under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Desalegn Ambao, and Chinese People's Institute of Foreign Affairs Vice President Li Jie. The areas of the agreement include promoting and reinforcing the cooperation between the two institutions and exchanging publications and documentations. The MOU is the beginning of an additional chapter in the bilateral relations of the two countries, it was disclosed. Ethiopian ambassador to Botswana, Mukhtar Kader, presented his credentials to the President of the Republic of Botswana. Ambassador Mukhtar reaffirmed his commitment to working hard to strengthen the long-standing Ethiopia-Botswana bilateral relations in comprehensive cooperation areas, according to the Ethiopian Embassy in Pretoria. While receiving the Ethiopian envoy, President Masisi said that he is confident that Ambassador Mukhtar's accumulation of high political leadership experience will be paramount to bolstering the long-standing friendship with Ethiopia and Botswana, reminding Ethiopia's unprecedented contribution to Pan-Africanism and the freedom and unity of Africa. And now in business, Ethiopia's opening up of the telecom sector to the private sector is commendable. That's according to Michel Gontard. Michel Gontard, who is a telecom consultant, told the Ethiopian news agency that Ethiopia's openness to the private telecom sector is admirable and it will bring about important technology to the country. He added that the competition in the telecom sector being witnessed in Ethiopia is the key driver to press Ethiopia into the digital world quickly and to solve the problem of mobile service delivery, which is a major problem in Africa. He also expressed his belief that the digital infrastructure and telecom sector activities that Ethiopia is currently doing will take the country to a higher level in Africa and could also be a good example to other African countries. Ethiopian airline CEO Mesfin Tasso says airlines in Africa should implement the single African air transport market in order to facilitate the realization of the African Continental Free Trade Area initiative. The CEO told the Ethiopian news agency that, quote-unquote, what is expected from African Airlines is to support the initiative by being ready to carry people from country to country, transport goods from country to country, and facilitate the realization of the African Continental Free Trade Area. He stated that African Airlines are expected to support this initiative since the Continental Free Trade Area hugely requires effective and reliable transportation service for movement of people and goods. Masfen stated that Ethiopian Airlines supports single African air transport market and encourages African governments to fully implement its principles. You have been watching ATV News. Now a quick recap of the top stories. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed calls for reform of global financial institutions. And high-level forum on equitable and reasonable utilization of transboundary water resources kicks off in Addis Ababa. That's all the news there is for now. Thanks a lot for watching us. Bye-bye.